All right, everybody, we're live again Friday nights. Thank you for tuning in, seeing our sexy, sexy faces. We appreciate it very, very much. John, it's on.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were kicking it off. Well,
Oh,
welcome everybody to the. Well, we're starting to the Art and Stuff show. I'm Sean Aaron, your co-host. I got a lot of stuff to say, but I'm not going to right now. I'm going to shoot to Joe and let him kick this off.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we usually have a long-winded, but we're not gonna do that today. We're just gonna get right to our guests because we're extremely excited. Hey, Atomic Art, how's it going? Glad you could join us in the chat. This is gonna be a fun show. So, without further ado, and this is a personal. I don't know. I'm just so excited about this. I would like to say hi to the man, the legend, Mr. Brett Booth. Thank you for joining us on the show. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Oh,
We're great now. Thank you so much.
yeah, I was just gonna say
It means a lot to us.
Yeah, doing fantastic.
They keep throwing legend around far too much now.
Well,
Look,
I think
we'll spread that rumor.
Yeah. It's the best way to compliment your years of work, I would say. I mean, to me, it's legendary.
Yes,
Years. Absolutely. So, real quick, because I know we're itching to get rolling on this. I got the chat rolling in here. So, usually, what we'd like to do is talk about your origin story a little bit. And the one thing I'd like to ask is, or have you talk a little bit about how you broke into the business? Because I know that back in the 70s, 80s.
So not with the gamma rays.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So, like,
you could.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. But back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, there was a certain kind of way that it was done that you don't really see today it breaking in. So it's really interesting to me to hear stories of you and like J. Scott Campbell and all those guys, how you actually broke in the industry, the old school way of doing it.
It's not really the old. I don't think it's really the old school way. It's just I think they just needed artists. when it started, I mean, Wildstorm, before we became called Wildstorm, there was only Jim and Scott Clark there. So Scott was doing Stormwatch. If they wanted to do more stuff, they needed more artists. So they put out an ad in Wildcats 2, homage talent search. It was Top Cow wasn't Top Cow yet. They were actually still part of the studio, one big giant studio with Wilson Scott. And they put out an ad in Wildcats 2. I actually worked at a comic book store at the time. So
nice.
I was looking at the book when I got on the shelf, and I was like, hey, oh, crap. So I went home that night, and I pulled a bunch of art, and I went next day because the comic book store didn't open until like 10 or 11. I quite remember the hours. And I sent off a bunch of stuff from the post office to the talent search thing. And then a week later, Jim actually called and talked to him for a bit. They decided they wanted to bring me out for a month in January. So I had to quit my job. So
Nice.
So I could go fly out there, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I flew out there on January 8th. Brandon and Troy picked me up at the airport. Met Jim the next day. They got in late. So.
Wow. So what was that like when you answer the phone and it's Jim Lee?
Well, the other thing was I came home and my sister said, Stan Lee called. I was like, what? She was like, because I actually was waiting for submissions from Marvel. I got a backup story to draw.
Oh, okay.
A tryout story.
Okay.
So I was like, totally like, well, who the hell called? I was like, I don't think Stanley's running Marvel anymore. He called back in an hour. So like an hour later, he called. It was Jim.
Wow, that's funny.
Very cool. Very cool.
Which was great because Jim was like my absolute favorite artist at the time.
I can only imagine how awesome that phone call must have been.
Fan, so.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Plus, it's like, it's not just talking to like one of your idols. So they're actually trying to have you do work for them. So it's just like, oh crap.
Right.
Right on.
That's on you, Sean. I
Oh, okay. Well,
don't want to hog all your time, man.
all right. Well, who are the artists that inspired you besides Jim Lee to get the aesthetic that you have to now? Like,
Okay, well, I got into comics late. I was 13. I was in study hall, and I didn't have anything to do. So a friend of mine was sitting behind me, and I said, "Hey, dude, give me something to draw." And he was a comic book fan, still is. I'm assuming he still is. But he handed me Classic X-Men #1. Cover, and I was like, "Oh, cool." I was like, "Who's this guy?" It's Wolverine. And he's like, "Oh, that's Wolverine." And so I just like, okay, so I started drawing, and I kind of got hooked from that. And so I went over to his house later, and he showed me a bunch of other comics, and then I really got hooked on like X-Men, the Burn stuff. He showed me like the Phoenix Saga and the X-Men.
right.
The Mutant Massacre had just ended, so he showed me like a lot of the Walter Simonson stuff that he had just taken over X Factor, and I really liked the art, and I really liked the story, and so like the base of my art is Art Adams and Walt Simonson.
Nice.
That's a pretty good collection.
That's why I like the big exciting stuff. That's just the way it was already there.
Right.
So then later on, like John Byrne, George Perez, a little bit of that stuff in there. Then I decided to add some Kevin Maguire and Mark Silvestri, and it just turned into a giant mess.
An amalgamation.
Like, because Kevin is like so exact, and Mark was really loose. And
Yeah.
it didn't work with like Art Adams. Like, Walt Simonson is a little looser than Art Adams, but it's still pretty structured. Mark's was a little, especially with Dan Green inking him at the time, it's a lot looser. Nothing more John Buscema. John Buscema influence it has with that. So I think, okay, I stopped drawing for a little bit, and but I wanted to draw again. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to go back to basics. I go back to Art Adams, and try more like the X-Men Annual 10 and what the hell is it called? The Asgard Saga. What was that?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's before X-Men Annual 10. It's like when he started developing that side. The 2 annuals, one for the New Mutants, New Mutants Special 1, and X-Men Annual, I believe it was 9. Maybe it was 8. I can't remember. That's a long time ago. So I started going back Art Adams, and that's when Jim took over the X-Men.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the first issues that he did were a little wasn't quite as Art Adamsy, but there's definitely a little bit of influence. But like once we got past the first arc with Psylocke and Wolverine, you could see more of Art Adams' influence in the work. And so that,
Yeah, he was very Kevin Nolan at that time. Prior.
well, I knew who he was. When I found out he was taking over the X-Men, I was like, man, I've seen his stuff before. Where have I seen his stuff before? And I said, oh, the Alpha Flight. Because I had Punisher. I don't like the Punisher. So I hadn't read the Punisher stuff, so I didn't see any of that. I just thought his work was getting much better on when he was doing Alpha Flight, and he left. And then like a year or two later, he goes, "Oh, he's taking over the X-Men." So then I saw the Art Adams influence in that, but I was like, "Oh, he's able to do it." It's kind of like Art Adams, but a little bit faster, kind of. Art Adams was kind of highly detailed. It's a slower style. So Jim's was a little quicker, and sometimes I like to draw faster. It kind of meshed, and then Wills was taking over X Factor, and I was like, "Oh man, this is awesome too!" And
such a great time to be a comic book fan with all those fantastic artists working on those books. That I mean, that was a little bit before my time by a few years, but those same kind of artists bled over into what I really got into in the early '90s. I guess you could say.
Well, I was like reading the Hulk that McFarlane was drawing, and then Wolverine that Silvestri went through. So it was just kind of cool. It was just all the books I was reading had artists that I really liked on. like really awesome.
So when you got into Wildstorm, how long was it before they actually put you on sequential pages?
Like a day.
Nice.
They flew me out, maybe a week. They flew me out, and then I did like 2 pinups, maybe not even a week. I had like 2 pinups that first week, and then they put me on Wildcat 0. So I was like, we're drawing right off the bat. So I finished Wildcat 0 before I left to go back home for a month before I came back out. And they permanently offered me work. But I was actually working on so much. Wildcat 0, and I started so much 4 at the end of that. And then I was working so much 4. It went back to California. I lived in Florida at the time. And then they pulled me off to do so much 0. And what was that other thing called? The Deathmate Black.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went back to so much 4, so much 5. The Kindred series.
You know, it was, I want to say it was so much 4 that was the first time I actually saw your name in print, where I was like, you know, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And
well, the Wildcat 0 was in that trade, so
okay.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't actually
in the trade.
It wasn't actually until like I'd known your name from just reading Wild stuff, so, you know, because I was a huge fan of Jim Lee's, and I was a huge fan of Image, so I was reading anything I could pick my hand or get my hands on with Image. And I remember coming across your name. I was like, man, that dude's got a really cool style. You know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like that Jim style, which was, I don't know if there's a house style that everyone was going for, but, you know, I think
at the time it was kind of a house style, but Jim did encourage us to kind of branch out. So.
That, which actually kind of bleeds over into my next question I had was, how was it learning in a studio environment? Because we don't see studios anymore these days. And how big of a help was that to you when you're learning under guys like Jim Lee? And I think Sylvester was there for a little while.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
do you think it's a detriment now to younger artists that kind of environment isn't around anymore?
Yes and no. Because I don't think I was skilled enough to apply what I was seeing that well. So you have to get to a certain level to be able to like do. We work all day at the studio, and you'd be working on a page or a panel, and you'd be working on it for working on this panel for like 6 hours, and you hate it. It's not working right. You can't get the angle right. You just don't have the skills yet to do this. Jim would come in and he'd draw a page in like 4 hours of Wildcat, and you'd just be sitting there like you're drawing the floor because you just don't have that ability yet.
Right.
That's what the practice comes from. You have to practice just to get to there. The fact that Jim was able to do it when he was younger is just kind of like, oh, you just. Then Wolf was a little different because he was like his style is a little more rendery, different kind of rendering. So it was just he didn't really work at the studio very much. So it's like hard to see how Wolf's stuff. He'd just come in with really cool pages. And then like I watched Scott, and like I just didn't have enough skill to actually ink like that. It's just, I just didn't have it. And then if you watch Mark, and he was much looser style. But as I said, Mark was older than most of the other guys, so
right.
He'd been drawing for 10 years or so, like that. Not that long. Maybe not 10. He was on the X-Men, then the X-Men and X-Men Fantastic, X-Men Avengers before that, and some other things. Maybe like that. So he had a good, those guys were like on, and it's also, you take like an Image guy who maybe drew like 3 issues a year, and then you have like, Jim or Mark or whoever it is who was drawing like 11 issues a year, for years and years and years. So they had, that you kind of need that to kind of get to the level you need to be to. So they're much more experienced about how to do layouts on pages, how to hide stuff, how to do this, how to do that, how to show this, what. And so you can watch them and they can tell you, but you just don't really have, it's a lot of information coming in, and you just don't have the physical skills yet to apply them that well.
Right.
So it does get frustrating, but and a lot of that stuff just didn't pop for me until I started working at DC. So once I started working,
wow, that's interesting.
Okay, now it just kind of started flowing then.
That is actually,
I guess.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting, honestly.
So I keep telling everybody to practice, and they're like, "Oh, I drew just 3 pictures this year." No, dude, that's like 3 pictures. That's like a day's worth of work. No. You need
put me in, coach.
Yeah, well, you need to get the figures. When I first started got into comics when I was 13, I was already taking art classes and everything. I knew I wanted to be an artist. I just didn't know what kind. So the comics kind of like, oh, this works for me great. I like these kind of things. I didn't read comics at the time, but like after by the time the first month ended of me trying to draw the comics, just like copy stuff, and then I was like creating my own characters, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to start drawing stories. So I was already starting to draw pages. So I talked to some of these guys online, and they're like, "Oh, here's a picture. Here's another picture. Here's another picture." Like 2 months later, here's another picture. I was like, "Dude, where are your pages?"
Wow.
And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't do that kind of stuff." What do you mean you can't do that kind of stuff? Oh, and I actually, it's kind of funny because I even talk to artists now, and it's like, "Well, when you can do your create your own thing, when you do this, well, maybe we can do something like that." And they're like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that stuff." Like they've never like written anything for themselves or even tried to, so they don't have that kind of. So that they're like, oh, I need a script to draw these pages. Like, you can't just make like a couple guys fighting in an alleyway.
I know. I feel like that's kind of natural. I mean, even when I was really young and wasn't all that versed on drawing, would still just sit with my 8.5 by 11 printer paper and block out some panels and do my own comic back in the day. You think that would kind of be natural for a lot of people to just progress that way?
It's kind of odd that. Well, I guess part of it is they don't actually know how to do stuff because there's not like a lot of. I mean, there's way more information available now. But like when I was coming up, there was really hardly any stuff on it. How to draw comics the Marvel way was the only thing that they had.
Yeah.
So I use that as like kind of like my Bible, and I read that thing multiple times. Try to learn from it, but as I said, a lot of that stuff is more, advanced, becomes more advanced. So you need to have the certain skill level before it starts making sense.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And Sean, I don't want to step all over you. I know you got questions, but because you did bring up how to draw the Marvel way, I just want to throw out there real quick because I see you're a big advocate for that book on Twitter a lot. Anytime people were asking you drawing tips, you were always kind of throwing that out there. How big of an impact do you think that book really is, that it's lasted so long, where not just you, but I see other really great artists referencing back to that book? And I have it myself. I've read it, although the first time I read it when I was a kid, I didn't quite understand it that well.
Yeah.
I understand it a lot better now, but like how big of an impact do you think that book really did have for a generation of talent?
All the artists that I know used it. So it's like the one main book. It's like, I know that they've released, like DC did one and some other ones, everybody else did one, but it's like, that just seems, I don't know why, but that seems to be, although I do see like a lot of the younger guys aren't using it. It's like, they're not, oh, I don't know. Let's see it, it's too expensive. It's like, dude, this is like this is a career thing. It's like $25 max.
Yeah, right.
It's not that expensive. Couple graphic novels, and this is something that you can use that will help you with your career if this is something you seriously want to do. You need to get this book because it explains everything. Like, I'm so tired of how your heads are too big. Your heads are too big. Like, count the head. I don't know how to do that. Oh my gosh. It's all in the book. Read that damn book.
Oh wow. Yeah, invest in yourself.
It's a good book. It's like it tells you everything, kind of lay out pages. It tells you the story elements. It tells you all of this stuff. Like shadows, perspective. It's all there. Everything you need to draw a comic book is in that book. And I don't know why people just aren't picking it up as much, or maybe they are, or maybe the younger kids think they can do it better.
I don't know. Maybe there's just so many
Drinking kids.
These kids. Yeah, that's what it is. These kids.
Maybe there's just so many books out there that you get sucked into where people just don't look at. And I don't know if there's some kind of stigma nowadays about the art style from the 90s and 80s that people tend to.
Oh, there is, but
Yeah.
I mean, like I mean, basically what I try to do is to take the style and kind of modernize it a bit, so it's not as way over the top as it was.
Oh yeah, and you've done it perfectly. I mean, so
the slightly more realistic anatomy, but still enough that I can go more exaggerate things that I need to. More realistic weapons. I mean,
right, yeah.
Right.
Heat.
No vacuum guns.
Heat. And that was that's something.
Vacuum cleaner guns.
Mailbox gun.
Yeah.
Hold on, the mailbox gun.
That was something I was like to tell people when I hear anybody dogging any kind of style that might resemble the quote unquote 90s style, like that's a bad thing. I was like, it's exaggerated realism that you want to draw correct proportions, but you have to have some kind of exaggeration to a character. Otherwise, they're going to look stale, flat, not a lot of energy.
They look the same. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Style makes whatever you decide to change is part of the style to make it look different than everybody else. Otherwise, it all looks the
same. Yeah, and you're still a phenomenal storyteller. Like you have the polish, and your storytelling and your panel layouts and everything is way above most of the stuff, if not all, in the industry now.
Oh yeah,
it's exciting. It draws me in. It's not only inspiring. It's like, why can't I get more of this guy's stuff?
Dan DiDio hated it. So.
Well, look where he is.
That's crazy.
Sorry. I didn't mean to come off bad. But,
did not like it. So I could do both. I'd like to do the exaggerated panel, the crazy kind of panel layout. I was getting a bunch of stories that were just kind of people standing around talking, so to make it more exciting.
Right.
Kind of messing around with the panels. It's like the Batman 66, the old Batman show, Adam West.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whenever they try to make something more exciting, or like a villain would show up, or just be kind of crazy and weird, they tilt the camera a little bit. And if you look at it, it just makes it a little more dramatic, a little more dynamic. And I was doing a Nightwing issue, and he's like jumping through a helicopter. And there's like 6 panels on the page, and I was trying to figure out how to get the best layout. And then I was like, oh, well, what if I make the panels kind of like they're like the helicopter blades a little bit, so they're kind of long and kind of a little skewed. And I did that, and I think that worked really well. And so I started doing it more and more, and not as much. And then when I got some issues that were just people just standing around talking, I was like, well, how can I make this more exciting? And it's funny because one of the writer guys I used to work with was like, oh man, look at the issue that you drew. He's like, it was like, I could tell that you're pulling out all the stops to make it exciting because nothing was going on. And I was like, well, yeah. And so I just kind of started going with that, and everybody seemed to really like it. And then I find out like 2 years later that Dan didn't like it. So I was like, geez.
As long as the audience likes it, that's really all that matters,
So it's one of those things. May not be for everybody, but I was like, to me, it's like kind of pushing things. Like because everybody's like, oh, the 9-panel grid, the 9-panel grid. Like, I hate the 9-panel grid. It is so boring.
Oh
it's super easy to draw. That's one of the reasons why they like to do it. It's easy to draw. Because it's kind of all laid out. Everything's kind of small.
Right.
So you don't have to spend a lot of time drawing anything. It goes really fast. But I don't like, think that's cool, but, I want like the big images, big exciting stuff. And,
that's what makes it exciting.
Spread. I want something exciting to read. I'm like, it doesn't, I want the cool story elements too, the emotional beats in there too. But if there's a big fight scene, I want to see a cool fight scene. 9-panel grid, you can't get a cool fight scene.
No, not at all. It's a very boring format, and being a visual medium that it is, if I get a chance to see, like you said, you can draw, half-page panel or 2-page spread, and it's just more detail. There's more things to take in for for the eyes. To me, that's what always excited me about comics when I was younger. What made me want to be an artist was seeing stuff like that. That was the excitement.
Exactly.
Real quick, Sean, before you ask your next question. So, Angel Heartless, what's up, brother? Good to see you. And
Hey,
shout out to all.
How you doing?
Yeah, shout out to all the Wildstorm fan groups that are here.
He's like the biggest Wildstorm fan.
He is. He absolutely.
There you go.
That's true words right there. He has.
And shout out to the Brett Booth fan page on Facebook as well.
Yep.
I know that's going pretty strong, and I think it's great you got a fan page because you deserve it.
You're like tons of.
Unfortunately, I don't like Facebook.
Yeah, I noticed. I mean, I don't really like Facebook either.
For a little bit, but I was like, oh, this is just like way too complicated.
There's just
everybody's angry.
It was like, this is too much stuff for me. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Well, Angel asked real quick. He says, "How about the process of story and scripting / input in the writing side while you were at Wildstorm?"
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was kind of an interesting thing because we were brought in early with what we would do is we'd go out to dinner. Whoever's writing the book and the editor, or so it'd be like me, Jim, Deshaun Ruffner, and Bill Kaplan was editing at one point. Sometimes it was Jeff Marriott, depending on who was editing. And we'd go out and have dinner, and we'd talk about the plot, stuff like that, and figure things out. Initially, Jim would do layouts for a lot of us when we were starting out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then after a few issues, he just kind of backed off and let us take over. So we were kind of just thrown into the fire. But I mean, after like Backlash 4 or so, we could still kind of do where we'd all get together for the dinner, and then we'd go back to we'd have the dinner, and then everybody go their separate ways, and I'd go back to the studio with Sean, and we'd work laying out the pages. So we talk about it, and I'd lay out the pages, and then we scan the pages, and we turn those in as the plot.
Wow.
And then. So then I draw the pages, and then we do the dialogue after that. So the pages were done. And I still do that today, actually. So it's called the Marvel method.
Yeah.
Right.
And Sean and I would get together, and it was like the worst 2 days of our lives trying to get the dialogue. Because it's always like pulling teeth.
Right.
The plots were fun, but the dialogue was always so much more difficult.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's today. It's like if I get into a rhythm, it's not that bad. But back then, it was just trying not to say anything too stupid.
Sounds like me.
From all the movies that you could constantly wind up pulling, "Come with me if you want to live," and we used that one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I think that one. I think I used that one in a while before.
That's awesome.
We did that one a little differently because I moved, so Sean was in California and I was in Florida. So Sean would do the first draft of the script, and then I'd go over and do a second draft, and then we send that into the editor, and he do a final edit.
What was the inspiration behind Backlash, and like why did you make him an older lead character?
Why was he old?
Yeah.
Because originally, before, that was kind of a thing. Like Wolverine was there, Cable was there, it was kind of old.
Okay.
But originally, he was supposed to be a vampire.
No.
And this is before Wildstorm. He was supposed to be a vampire, a superhero vampire, and so I kept parts of that stuff. So I just kind of kept him old, so like implied that he was, thousands of years old. And the white matched the suit better. So.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's funny. It's like Joe Chino colored the first pages in Split March 4, and Jeff Campbell comes up and he goes, "I thought Backlash was red and gold." And I said, "No, he's white and blue." Like, "Oh, I didn't know he was old." Because they thought it was like, and we actually used those colors for that one character, Vigor, later on.
Right.
Originally, he was purple and gold. He's based off of a character Sean created in high school.
Nice.
And then I did a revamp of him in college when Sean and I met. And then when we did Wildcore, we put a bunch of old characters. Like all those characters are old characters that we created in high school.
That's cool. I didn't know that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. The Brawl, he's an old character. The only one of those characters in Wildcore that's new is the Geist character. And he was reading an X-Files book at the time. With these chameleon people that I thought was a cool idea. So
nice.
Pulled that.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
That was a really cool book. I really enjoyed that when it was out. I wish it ran a little bit longer.
So these were the actual books. The novelizations, they were like extra stories you could read. And I read one. It was like with the Aztec temple. There's this one with like this chameleon person. And I thought that was really cool. This visual popped in my head, so I used that for that character. So I think we pull stuff from everywhere.
That's it. That's what's cool about being a creator. And Sean and I talk about this all the time with our creator-owned books. Is when you're creating a book, you just basically take everything that you enjoy, that entertains you, or that what entertained you when you were a kid, and you formulate that into your stories, and you put them in there. You can just pick and choose.
Yeah, I used to work with characters. I like making characters up. Well, what kind of story could I come up with this character?
Yeah,
that's usually how I work it, and it is some of it is like you kind of let the characters. So I was doing this Basilisk story, which was just something for fun to do for the Patreon. Still got to put this damn stuff up. But working on it, and it's like I'm on page 18 of that.
Wow!
I still need the ink. Yeah, so I 11 pages of ink. It's 17 pages drawn. I want to get this thing up. Get at least finished penciled next week. That's my kind of plan. And I got the first 10 pages scripted. It's early for that. They're running outside. But yeah, so basically I kind of start working on the story, and then I'm like, oh, here's a little bit of an idea, like 5 or 6 pages I have an idea for, and then usually from there something the characters kind of push me where I want to go with the story. The Parsec I did a little differently. The other one because I had more of an idea. I kind of had that all plotted out before I started. So the Basilisk, I'm kind of winging it. Like that's how we used to do it in the old days at Wildstorm. Like we just kind of like, okay, well, what do you want to do now? We're finishing up this arc. What do you want to do? Oh, you know what? Let's bring in some sort of X-Files elements. So, hey, let's mess with Atlantis.
I would think that's maybe a better way of doing it sometimes, because it keeps energy fresh. You're not so just like plotted. This is what we're doing, and we're doing this and this and this and this. It can be like, hey, let's change it up here.
No, I have with the Parsec book, I have loosely plotted, just a basic outline. Like I know this first part, I got the second part, and then after that, I have this arc that I want to do, this more character-driven kind of arc, kind of a little bit more the characters, and then after that, I have this other arc, this bigger arc I want to do with other sort of celestial type characters. That's the plan. So it's like I have all these ideas. I got it written down, and then the one day I woke up and I had a story. The beginnings of a story in my head. So I came down, laid it out, put it down on the board, and didn't write anything down. Like besides the basic dialogue, And so I came back to it the other day, and I think I have no idea who any of these people are. I have all these character designs and stuff, and I know that there's some characters that I've designed. I just didn't know who initially.
Right.
Who the hell are? I remember later. I was like, oh crap! What the hell is this? 7 pages of layout, but I don't know who any of these.
Oh wow!
Since you
What's a typical day like for you? Like when you get to the board, how long do you stay at the board, or
it depends.
Is it all different?
If it's like a snow scene or something like that, it's like 3 or 4 hours. You're in and out. That's fast.
Right.
Got a bunch of characters on it. Like the Titans books will take the Titans page average Titans page is like 8 to 11 hours.
Oh,
Okay.
that's still pretty
That's
impressive.
It's a whole team. Yeah.
It was a very, because Dan Abnett likes to have all the characters talk.
Oh,
Yeah.
So everybody's talking, so I have to draw all the characters and all the panels.
it's a
So
lot of
I
work.
have to make sure where they're standing is in the right spot, so that the word balloon hits in the right spot. It's a lot more energy going into like just the basic layout, the construction of the pages. So it wouldn't screw things up too fast. But normally 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah, that's all right. And
Very cool.
honestly, we were talking about this on our Fluffer show on Wednesday about your workload. It is really quite amazing that last year you put out Flash Forward, Bloodshot. You were doing a shit ton of commissions, and then you were working on Parsec and Basilisk. Blah, 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 if I can speak.
No.
I mean, to me, it's not human. I wonder if you're a robot or something. Like, God, man, like,
Yeah,
that's impressive, man.
If you could get in like a good work zone where you're not making a lot of mistakes, but one of the things, like when you start making mistakes or you're having problems or struggling, that usually means they call it leveling up. It means you're improving, but you're struggling with getting to the next step, the next level, and so doing all that work kind of doesn't. And I think I did improve some, but not as much as I would have liked to have improved, because it's just basically there's like certain things I'm just gonna have to let go because I have to get this done.
Right.
And luckily I had started on issue 3 of Bloodshot when they first had to do Flash Forward. So I tried to finish that up before I had like 2 or 3 weeks while they were working on the scripts, the first issue. So I tried to finish up Bloodshot 3. I think I started in 4 before I got the script. So I was a little bit ahead on that. So I was basically drawing like 5 pages of Wally, Flash Forward, and then like 2 pages of Bloodshot a week. And then towards the end, and I still I threw in occasional Parsec, occasional part, a little bit of Basilisk. Not a lot. I didn't do a lot of stuff in there, but I did do like a 4-page Amazon story that I guess isn't going to be used now or something. I did that for an anthology book. But I did 4 pages of that, and a cover for friends here, some covers here. Yeah, that was, and at the end of that, I was like, they hit this groove, like at the end of Wally 5. And luckily Scott gave me some easy stuff to draw for like 5 and 6. He was trying to kill me at the beginning of the damn story arc. With like, oh, you're fighting the event.
Right.
And hundreds of people fall from the sky, and I was like, dude, come on. Like, kids on a planet that doesn't have anything on it. Oh, sweet. Okay.
There you go.
The other guy, what's his name? The Tempest guy. That I can just draw that guy in like 2 hours. So they give me like splash pages with Tempest on there, and I was like, oh, dude, I did like 2 pages a day of that.
Nice.
It was so fast. He was like such a fun and easy character to draw. I love drawing. And so I was just like, I turned in Wally, I think a Wally 6 a week early.
Wow.
And Bloodshot like 2 or 3 days early. Bloodshot 2 or 3 days early. Then I had to go to the Flash 750 thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I finished that, I think maybe the day earlier on the due date, and then I had to do. Then they asked me to do the comic book thing, which I finished, and then that was the last thing Dan DiDio read before they took him out of DC.
Wow.
Yeah, he loved it, and then they I guess they've changed it a little bit. They took the pages out of it.
Oh,
I was like, oh crap. Yeah, I was like, I had this sweet double page spread with Wonder Woman on. I took that out. I was like, no, Wonder Woman double page spread. I'm so happy.
I guess it still surprises me sometimes that even artists like with your kind of stature still have to redo pages sometimes. Like it really surprises me that I just assumed.
Well, they'll make a change, or like, oh, we wanted this. DC's usually really good about it. So they go, they'll pay you. Unless you like totally
okay.
or what the writer wrote, and then you just redo it. You just draw whatever you want. Unless you're like Jim, they're not gonna let you get away with that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
I did draw a page. This was funny. I drew a page, the last page of Wally. This is before the Dr. Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
Like they get the script for issue 6. Scott's like, "Have you drawn him in the chair yet?" I was like, "No, why?" Because I wanted to pitch something. Okay. Give me a few hours. So I started drawing page 22. And I drew it all up, sent it off to him. And then he was like, "Hey, there's a problem." It was like the next week. I turned it in, everybody's happy, turned it in. There's a problem. I was like, "What?" Like, "Well, I'll tell you tomorrow." And it's really easy change. I was like, "Okay, cool." And then the next day, "Oh yeah, we decided that has the powers of Manhattan. So you drew a 3/4 shot, so we need a straight-on shot, so we got to redraw that page."
Oh.
Son of a bitch. But I was like,
damn.
I was able. Like, the page got used though. It was in the Flash 750.
Oh, okay. Well, at least they're
the
using
last page of that.
Yeah.
So I was like, you already know he's Manhattan, so it's okay.
Right.
All right. Recycling. Recycling is good.
Yeah. I was like so happy with it. It was like, because Norman already started inking it. I was like, oh crap.
Since you had brought up your Parsec, I was just wondering, because we know that you really like speedsters and you like Wally West. When you were creating that character, was this a character you had for a long time, or was it something that inspired you, maybe with like a Flash pitch that you wanted to do that never got picked up, and you just decided, fuck it, I'm going to do my own story?
I didn't have came up with the story about 10 years ago. But I had the name in high school. I didn't take regular science classes. I took an astronomy class, and Parsec is a unit of distance in astronomy. And I thought, oh, that'd be a cool name for a speedster. And like through the years, I've been waiting for someone to use the damn name as a speedster, and no one has. So I was like, well, I'll use it. I was like, good, I'll do mine. I'll do it myself. But I didn't have a story for it. And I was trying to kind of come up with, someone talked to me, like, you should do your own, create your own book. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know what to do because they have a lot of different interests. And I don't know what the fans are going to want. So I have like this is when I was doing like the Dresden Files, stuff like that. And Anita Blake. So I had like different fan bases. They got like Anthro fan base, or dinosaur fan base, vampire fan base, and the superhero fan base, and they don't always intermingle.
Right.
Right.
And I don't know which one I should be going for. And as far as I was working at DC, and Andrew Dalhouse said, no, you should do the superhero one. Do the superhero one. I said, okay, I'll focus on that, at least for the first one. And so, I had the story. I just been kind of mulling it over in my head for a while, and I had a feeling that DC was going to stop picking my contract up after the Titans one. Just got a feeling.
Yeah.
Because I was becoming too difficult to work with because I wanted to work on exciting books. And they wouldn't let me do Wally. They wouldn't let me do Wally. Said, what about this book? No, we want you to do that book. We want you to do like this book. I said, okay, I'm not interested in that book. They asked me to do the Metal Man. And I was like, that's not going to sell.
Yeah.
I told you guys I didn't want to do any more team books for a little bit because I was like, the Titans. It took me like 6 months to recover from drawing the Titans. I was like, chest was cold all the time. I was exhausted. Yeah, it was like sick, and they're trying to give me more time on it. I was like, I can't do it. There's just too much stuff. And they're like, oh, we're getting rid of Wall. I was like, well, then why the hell am I staying on the book?
Yeah, they've kind of.
So I was like, you know what? When I talked to them about that one last contract, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start working on my own career on thing, and basically started drawing pages. Yeah, just story. I'm gonna just draw the origin, start drawing the origin. Maybe I'll get bored and stop working on it. And that was like 3 years ago. And I finally finished the damn thing in January.
Wow. Well, I know a lot of people were pretty excited to see it.
Just like fitting in pages and stuff. And, I was hoping it would be like the full story, the full like first arc, but the first half of it is it's just, I'd love to be able to just do it full time. So I'm hoping that once we do the crowdfunding, that it does well enough that I can kind of just work on that.
Oh, it's going to, man. I mean,
I think you could. I think you're going to do very well. You got a huge fan base, and
yeah.
the way crowdfunding seems to be going, I don't know, man. I hope so.
I thought Sean Murphy was going to make more.
You know,
I thought he was
better
right out the bat. I was expecting about 600,000 or 700,000.
You know, he busted out right out of the gate, and then it's like all the craziness happened. You know, and I think maybe
that's
had
what
some
I'm worried about. Like, there's too much craziness.
Right. You know, and you know, who knows? But it just, I think, because you do have that following where you gain such hardcore fan base from the Wildstorm image days, and then you brought all that fan base with you when, you know, through the various companies you worked with, and I think it's only gotten bigger. I mean, I would say that the Wildstorm and the Brett Booth fan page and fan clubs and all that will probably go out and push you to five figures at least in the first day, just alone. You know, so I mean, I just
no. I mean, I'm hoping it does well enough. So like, if we can do like I said, I mean, first issue is drawn. The first 50 pages, first 50 pages are drawn. Covers drawn. We're going over some stuff right now just to make sure we don't need to change any of the art, add anything. Or so good. So the first person, the script is done. We'll probably make some dialogue changes, of course. But that's done. So hopefully, you got like 5 pages inked. There's 3 inked. It's working on the double page spread for 5. There's like 1 page fully colored, 2 pages almost colored. Sent the cover off to him. So hopefully soon. But I wanted to have like my part completely done, so that if it does well enough, I can take the funds. That would be going for the next project, and then start working on that.
nice. Yeah,
So get like
smart.
3 of them out a year if possible. To keep everything kind of going. I want to make sure that it's fun to do. So
yeah.
But yeah, before bringing it back, it isn't actually any of the stories that I have like 11 stories for Wallace.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
This isn't any of them. Stop. So like I can always pull stuff if I need to. Like, I have all these other stories I can pull from, but I didn't actually, use any of that. So I basically, with the Parsec project, I created a whole universe. So it's like modeling after like Wildstorm. It's its own universe. It's not just Parsec in it. The first arc, you're going to meet a bunch of characters. I did this bunch of them on the cover. Those are the basic ones on the cover are the main characters for the first arc.
And I think that's what's got. I think that's what's got me very excited is the fact that you are attempting to make a universe out of this, not just a character. And that's that's very exciting to me, especially being such a fan of Wildstorm and Image, knowing that you are pushing these new characters. Because new characters with fantastic art is always going to sell to me. Because you get.
Well, I find it funny because it's like a few years ago there was an article on like Rama or Bleeding Cool, I can't remember which one it was, and they're like, let Marvel and DC do superheroes. They're used to it. They're good at it. Let Marvel and DC do it. But like the last 5 years, it's like they're not really doing superheroes as much as they used to. Or at least like superheroes that like how I remember them. And I'm maybe I'm just getting old and I'm just expecting things to be the same. But like I want to. Everybody's trying to recreate the Dark Knight. No, that's cool. But I also remember like the X-Men, or they're playing baseball, or they're fun stuff that they would occasionally do, or they like wind up like
Oh, think we might be
They get
losing you.
teleported to Genosha. What?
You know,
But they're naked and they got there's like dorky, weird, fun stuff. Like stuff Chris Claremont would do with with the relationship stuff. And I kind of character kind of driven, but also big story stuff. Big world-ending story stuff. It's more like it's like too character-driven now. It's mostly just about their off hours as opposed to their superhero hours.
Yeah.
And
right.
Superhero stuff. So.
Real quick to anybody in the chat, got a lot of questions. I'm gonna try to get back to some of them when we get a chance. Just so you know, keep asking them, and we'll cover what we can cover. I do know that, and I'm not quite sure, but Angel Heartless had asked. He's like, ask about Kevin of the Ape Men if you have time. Really hope to see that one become one of the release volumes. So if you want to shed light onto that.
Yeah, that was I had an idea. Like dinosaurs, but I also like anthropology, and so I came up with that. It's because it's kind of a silly premise. It's not actually a serious book. It's kind of just so I can make jokes. But it's like there's a little kid who gets sucked into this bubble, and in this bubble is basically all the different timelines that Earth will have for its existence. Oh. So there's dinosaurs, there's humans, there's stuff in the future, all inside this bubble. And so that's this little kid named Kevin, and he basically befriends a spaceship and teaches him how to, talk and stuff like that. And he basically, because he's friends with the spaceship and has advanced knowledge because of the spaceship, he basically kind of rules over this bubble to make sure everybody's okay. So when dinosaurs act up, you got to go take care of the dinosaurs. It's like one of the.
That's pretty cool.
Seeing groups, you got to go take care of that. So it's not anything serious, but every now and then this bubble shoots out like a flange, and it pulls something else into it. So people from the modern day, people from like 20 years ago, 200 years ago. So there's all sorts of different things inside. So basically you can put pirates in there. You can put people from you can put like cops, RoboCop could be in there. You can put whatever you want inside the story.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Weird, goofy thing.
Yeah.
So that's like one of it's a super serious thing, and I might try to put that like in an anthology with something else at some point.
Oh, that sounds really cool. So our friend of ours, Raymond Leonard, asked, "Do you miss drawing Backlash?"
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, we did that Wildstorm 25th anniversary thing.
That was phenomenal.
I was like drawing it, and I was looking back at like the old issues and stuff from Wildstorm, Backlash, and Wildcore. And I was like, oh man, I'm so much better than I was back then. I was like, I did you wrong, Backlash. I did you wrong. I wanted to do some. I will be happy to do some stuff with them. Yeah, that'd be fun. I have some ideas.
Yeah, I wish.
So that's one of the things I do when I'm working on drawing these pages and stuff, especially if it's like for the creator-owned stuff. I'm coming up with things to do with the characters while I'm drawing. I was like, oh, that would be kind of fun to do, or I thought I could do that on that page. I can make that, this reaction to that might actually work better than my initial idea. So go play up the comedy a little more here. And I was like drawing this thing one page for the Basilisk, and I was like, oh, I got to remember that this is a vampire story. Too. So I had to make sure I play up the vampire stuff. So
right.
I made sure okay, change the layout a little bit. That works better. That's more vampire. Okay. So, but yeah.
How does it feel? I'm sorry, I apologize.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, how does it feel to have a generation of artists now going? I don't want to say ape your style, but are influenced by you.
Oh yeah.
Because we see a lot of cats out. They're very talented. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's really cool that now we're in the age where it's like the Brett Boothisms. You know, like it's like I know where that's from. You know,
there's definitely some of the up and comers who keep asking me to do stuff, and that's it's a little weird, but you know, we all try to copy Jim. You know, we're all copying Jim. Like this how it goes.
Right.
And so basically, that you start off copying somebody, and Jim tried to copy. And then he branched off and did other stuff. So you start off with somebody, and then you get exposed to other artwork, and you just kind of find things when you're drawing. You go off in different directions, and that's just that's how it goes. I mean,
sure.
It's part of the process, so it doesn't bother me.
I think it's cool, man, because again, we've been fans since I'm pushing 40. So like when I was in my like 10 or 11 when I first found out about your art. So I think it's a great I don't want to say a circle of life, but like a great way of seeing the motions working, if you will. Yeah. No. It's cool to see. I know some people don't like it. I've actually talked to a couple artists.
Really? Huh.
Just like it's just starting out. I mean, that'll change in another 5 years.
Right. Yeah.
But then there is the thing. Oh, why would they hire me when they can hire this other guy who draws like me for like get like half my page rate or something?
Right.
Here's a question from Corey Stump. He said, "I'm just going to direct this to you, Brett, right now. But what got you into comics? Like when you were a kid, what was it that drew you into comics?"
X Factor. I really just got hooked on the characters. It's like, I think part of it is I like to binge stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I kind of get into things. So it was X Factor had been going on for a while, and it wasn't like because there's only like I think it's 12 or 13 issues. So I didn't have to go back and try to read like 300 issues.
Yeah, that's
right. Yeah.
So it was a smaller commitment, and my friend got me hooked into that. And but it's definitely X Factor. I enjoy time with his art a lot. And I like Jackson Garcia stuff too, because he did the show too. He's one of my favorite artists too. He did the Wally West stuff at the beginning. So with that, with Louis Simonson's storytelling, writing and stuff, I really just enjoyed what she was doing with the characters. It was a little more serious, I think, than some of the X-Men stuff that was going on at the time. Mostly because I liked the relationship between Gene and Scott, and how it was totally screwed up because he was married at the time. We didn't know it was her clone.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Before it was like so crazy. It was like let's get into the crazy part. But that like got me enough with the art on that, and then like my first issue of buying Uncanny was Mark Silvestri's first issue of drawing it.
Oh yeah.
With on in it, so it was like it had a smaller cast. I was able to get to know those characters: the Rogue, Longshot, Dazzler, and Psylocke. So those like some of my main X-Men characters that I like a lot. So I was like drawn into that. I like Mark Silvestri's stuff a lot. I think he did a great job with the Juggernaut. And so those were kind of more of those because the way Claremont likes to write, if you like a big story arc, character story, big story arc, character story.
Right.
And this was like this was one of like a 2-issue character story with the 4 characters. And that was enough, that kind of got me interested in the characters. So that was getting me interested in the characters. And then because I wanted to be an artist, the art drew me in a lot. And then I just basically from there, my friend had just every comic book in the world. He had like all the old Teen Titans, George Perez ones. I went through those. He had like a lot of the old X-Men. So I went and reread a bunch of the old Uncanny stuff. So I I just started picking up stuff from Silvestri. I was able to go back and read the stuff that John Romita, and Paul Smith, and John Byrne. Like classic X-Men was coming out, I could just kind of pick those up as well. And then you had this cool story with John Bolton, the backup stories, so you get like additional information. And then I got into the Flash. He wasn't a big Flash guy, but the Flash was always like my favorite DC character when I was growing up.
Right.
So I was like, well, he just started it, so here's issue 3. So I picked that up. Really like the art. Even though Wally was kind of a jerk, I kind of like that because he was kind of like a character, like, you know, when you're because I was a teenager, just starting to become a teenager,
Right.
and he's kind of like 20, so he's like cool and he's rebelling and he's doing like, oh, that's really cool. So I kind of got hooked that way, and yeah, I mean the first year, and it was kind of funny because my cousin actually was an English professor, and he read comics. So when we went to Michigan for the summer, I told you I lived to go to Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he took me to a bunch of comic book stores because we didn't have any comic book stores by Pennsylvania. The only one that was by it had closed like 2 years before I got into them.
Oh, nice.
So I was going to Walden Books and I was going to the newsstands, the drugstores and stuff, just trying to get whatever I possibly could. But yeah, the stories and the art, those, you know, it's one of those things where like people have shown me comics my entire life, trying to get me to read them, but I was never interested in it. And then it took it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the television show. I didn't start watching that until season 4. I tried to watch a couple episodes. I didn't like it. But season 4, I watched an episode, and it was kind of one of those funny episodes.
Right.
And that kind of got me. I was like, oh, that's actually kind of fun. Let me keep watching it. That's how, you know, so I think it's like watch the right thing, or you read the right thing at the right time. That's really important with a lot of it. It's not just, oh, you know, I like comic books. Like I just happened to, I was looking for something, and this filled that what I needed at the time, and it got me interested in reading these comics.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, you know, in general, for probably most of us there, or most people in this chat here, the thing that get you into comics probably from the beginning mostly would be the art, and then the characters, and then the story. But that's just coming from me because I'm an artist, and that's what draws me in. But, you know, so Corey, for, you know, answering questions, that's just, for me, it's always been the art and always will. I've always followed artists more than I follow characters. So, like, if Brett was doing a character and his run ended and he was going to another book, I mean, I was following him to that book, you know. So, and if the next artist came by and that character wasn't what I liked, I just take a hiatus from that character for a while.
Yeah, no, I get that. I did that with Daredevil and stuff. But like the X-Men was the only one I like stayed on regardless because it generally had like the top art. It was like the X was one of the top books you wanted to get on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some great artists back in the day doing that book. You know, just
it's like Batman today. It's like, you know,
right.
The one book you get on at DC that always sells really well is Batman. You know, Batman, you stay on there for a while, you can probably earn some royalties. If you can get hot on Batman, hey, awesome.
Yeah, when are they going to put you on there for a nice 12-issue run?
Probably never.
Somebody's fucking up. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. You've only drawn Spider-Man professionally in 2 issues, but to me, you're in like the top 10 of like all-time Spider-Man artists. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, what the hell? Like, that's what we want, Marvel.
Yeah, you got to go back into, when did that come out? Late 90s, right?
97, I think.
Yeah, because that wasn't.
Oh, okay, 96.
That was Ben Parker.
Ben Riley,
Or Ben Riley.
Ben Riley, yeah.
That was a cool costume he had. That, but
yeah. Well, we didn't even know that. No, geez, that story.
Well, we will tell if you tell us.
Yeah.
No. So Jim calls me in, and he's like, "Look, I want you to do. We're doing this thing with Marvel, I'm drawing the Fantastic Four." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "I want you to do the last 6 issues." I was like, But well, it's kind of funny because I like John Byrne's Fantastic Four and only John Byrne's Fantastic Four.
Gotcha.
I don't like any of the other Fantastic Four. They just don't work for me. So he's like, but you'll get to do like a Backlash crossover with one of the Marvel characters. Who do you want? And I was like, I love to do Daredevil.
Oh wow.
And he's like, okay, Spider-Man will sell better. He's like, so why don't you do 2 plots? Come up with 2 ideas, one for Spider-Man and Backlash, and one for Daredevil and Backlash. And then, we'll meet back up next week. Like, okay, so me and Sean get together, and we come up with 2 ideas. Well, luckily, Taboo has got a symbiote, and Venom has a symbiote, and we can kind of play off that for Spider-Man. For Daredevil, we decided to play off his the hand, and Backlash is there's like an issue of Backlash, I think 14, where that he was fighting some of the ninjas or something in medieval Japan. So we know that there's possibly some sort of crossover we can do with that. So we turn into 2 ideas. I still want to do Daredevil. Awesome, we're doing Spider-Man.
Right.
Oh, and also it's Peter Parker. What the hell are you talking about? I wasn't reading Spider-Man at the time. Yeah, it's this Ben Reilly guy. There's a clone thing. Oh God. To the comic book store. What's going on? We had to go buy a bunch of comics, figure it out. There's like one thing wrong with that. I forgot what someone asked. Oh, that was the one time with the Spider-Man thing. That was. So yeah, the only reason why I got to do that so that I would draw that Fantastic Four stuff.
Huh.
That's funny, man. I would, to this day, I think everybody would love to see you on any Marvel book, honestly. But a Spider-Man run would be great. It's just because your art's so dynamic that it suits a character like that so well. Like even the stuff I've seen you do on Patreon, commissions and whatnot when you've drawn Spider-Man or Daredevil, you have a knack of drawing that character and making it look like it should, if that makes sense. Like.
Yeah, well, to me, it's kind of funny. They changed Daredevil a lot from when I used to read him as a kid and a teenager. So to me, like Daredevil and Nightwing were similar characters, at least movement-wise.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they're acrobatic. They have like a flowing style, and then they changed Daredevil, like I guess in 2000s or something. So he's like more like Batman, like more kind of a gruff, rugged style.
Yeah.
And I don't think works for the character, but when I draw Batman, that's what I do. Like he doesn't do like really elegant. It's not about elegance. When I do Nightwing, there's an elegance. So you gotta have this specific kind of flow to the character.
You bring out that acrobat.
That's the way Daredevil. Yeah, and that's what Daredevil would be like to me. And I think it's mostly because of David Mazzucchelli.
Okay.
Reading his, even before the Born Again storyline, he was doing some really cool stuff with Daredevil, sleeping around and stuff. So that's kind of how I picture Daredevil in my head. And maybe John Romita changed that. He came in and doing his run with Inachetti. So a little different, a little more grim and gritty. Maybe that's when it started. Sorry.
No. Thank you. This is awesome. We're just like, tell us everything about everything right now. We're soaking this up. Like it's a pleasure. Believe me.
Absolute pleasure. So Angel, and I completely agree with this. He says Marvel and DC are trying to prevent another image uprising. They don't keep artists on the same characters too long. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but it definitely feels
I
that.
I don't know about DC as much because they've always wanted me. They always want me to stay on Titans.
Oh.
That's like the big thing. Like, ooh, right on Titans. The book sale. If I leave Titans, it just goes to hell, and they want to cancel it. Like every time. Like I want to do this. No, you have to do Titans.
You got to do Titans.
Characters. All the characters. Marvel moves the artists around so that they don't get popular. I absolutely. It just seems they're like so afraid of another image.
Yeah, like that scarred them pretty bad.
Like it was like who?
Oh yeah.
I mean, even like what's his Stegman? They move him around all the time. It's like, why do you think he was doing really good on Venom and stuff? Oh, we'll move him to this other book now. Like, wait, what? What? He did 7 issues.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't the point to sell units and sell copies? And like, what's going to attract somebody to getting these units and copies are the hot artists. You know, I don't know. Maybe my math is off because I'm from Jersey, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, I don't know why. I mean, it's kind of odd. I mean, they'll put like Humberto. They'll move him around a lot too. And maybe as you get older, they don't. A lot of creators actually, as they get older, they don't want to do the runs anymore.
Oh, true.
It's just, you know, it's like, okay, it's like the 2-year commitment of my life. I'm going to be basically drawing every single day for 2 years. So I do kind of, but I do that anyway. So
right, yeah. I mean, I guess I could understand that. I guess for sure. So I think we're kind of caught up there with some of the comments, guys. Thank you. Keep them coming, but I think we're at.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I think I got caught up as much as possible. Sean, I know that we might. Did you have that question we want to double? I mean, because we're bouncing all around.
Well,
fine,
yeah. So hold on. On the Wildstorm group, somebody wanted to ask about I guess your experience on the darkness issue you did.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was
Yes.
a ton of fun. Except for they sent me the wrong reference.
Really?
Or I guess the sister. She was wearing like a kind of a quasi darkness costume, which wasn't very much. But it was really fun to draw that. And then they told me I had to change it, so I like put her just like a short sequence, what they wanted. But drawing all the little characters and stuff. Scott Lobdell actually wrote that.
Yes.
It was just like a giant nut thing. It was just a crazy nut thing. And I could finish it. And I was like, dude, you guys, I love drawing this. Do you want me to do more? And like complete silence.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's trash. Pure trash.
I love doing the darkness. Yeah, I would love to do some more stuff with that too.
Well, I kind of
had a lot of fun with that stuff.
That kind of branches me off. Have you ever talked to Todd about doing Spawn?
I've never talked to Todd.
Like, just never talked to Todd in general. Just never talked to him about Spawn.
I've never met him.
Really?
Him.
Wow, that's
yeah. He's following me on the Twitters, so I don't even know if he knows who I am. So.
See, that's crazy. That's crazy because, like, I'm sure, like Joe and I, like the little 11-year-old kids we were, like everybody in Image, we're friends. You know, you guys all went to get to Dunkin' Donuts.
Todd's studio was in Phoenix.
Right.
Diego. Rob's studio was in LA. I don't know. I think Larson was in LA as well. Never met him either. He was just mad at me because I drew the fin wrong on Savage Dragon.
I heard you tell that story on one of the interviews you did. That's
funny as hell.
That's kind of odd.
I never forgave you for that, huh?
I guess not.
That's
well.
Yeah.
Fight over Superman's underwear. We'll get on.
So I got a question, more of like a what if you will. Let's say you didn't end up at Wildstorm. Let's say you ended up at either Extreme or Top Cow. What book or title would you want to be on, and what team, like inker, colorist, vice versa, and all that?
I will be perfectly honest. I didn't really read the books, so I don't know anything really about them.
We'll throw this question away then. Don't worry.
Prophet seems okay. I mean, that seems like it. I mean, visually that would possibly be kind of cool. Danny Mickey is inking me on Red Hood right now, and he's doing just a tricking, or he just finished inking me on Red Hood. Just a kick-ass job on that. So that would be cool. Actually, the coloring is expected so long ago.
Right.
Top Cow was easy because I would like to do either Velocity or Cyberforce.
Oh, nice. Really cool.
Yeah.
Joe Weems was there. He did a good job.
That guy does beautiful lines.
Steve Frickow, the reason why I know because he was at Wildstorm, Top Cow Wildstorm shared studio for a while, so I met him. But I actually met him before that. He was actually a painter.
Oh.
And I talked to him at a show, and I was like, "Oh man, you should come by this video because you could probably use a cool color." I was like, "Yeah." Unfortunately, he went to Top Cow.
Wrong studio, buddy.
Yeah, wrong studio. No, but I would actually like now. I feel like Witchblade or Darkness would be cool to do too. And they got a bunch of cool stuff there. At Extreme, or like the problem is like the freaking Youngblood cast like changed every single issue from what I remember.
They had a lot of
random characters thrown in there. So I mean, it might be kind of cool to kind of reimagine now, work on something like that. But I can't because the other guy has that stuff.
Yeah. Touchy subject. Unfortunate.
Although I guess Bob's making almost a parody of that, which is really fun.
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing about, and that's why I was wondering about what Parsec is, when you have characters that you either create or that you are really fond of and you can't do something with that character, the tendency is if you go to another company or you do a create your own, is to have a similar character so you can kind of carry on that story.
Yeah. No, you're right. And it's kind of funny that, like, he's not like that. The only thing that's similar to him and like Wally or whatever it is, they're both sweet.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad you cleared that up because I was wondering.
It's not there. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Personality-wise, at least not the Wally, like the early Wally. He might be a little similar to a little bit later Wally, but not really. The Basilisk is it's similar to Backlash. Like basically what Basilisk is basically taking the original Backlash idea because his name wasn't even Back. His original name was Viper.
Oh.
With the Y.
Cool.
Because it's edgy.
Oh, it's edgy. See, that makes sense of how to spell it because, like, I'm dyslexic and I think like the should be spelled THA, but that's just me. Yeah. Well, so I just went back to the basic idea, which was because I didn't really have much of a story for the Backlash. I just had like a couple pages drawn and a character design. And it's like, oh, I like that guy. So we incorporated him into Team 7.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I really love about from what I've seen of Basilisk on Patreon, and by the way, anybody that is not on Brett's Patreon, do it because you get a shit ton of art, very well quality. There's different tiers you can do, and it's well worth it. And one of the things is you can see like the first 3 or 4 pages of Basilisk, and I was actually when I first read those, I was blown away because that was the first time I got like that kind of image vibe. It reminded me of being like a 12-year-old kid again.
Yeah, that's actually totally what I think. I'm not looking to try to create high art. I'm just trying to do some fun, cool stories.
Yeah.
Kind of like late 80s, 90s kind of area, kind of.
Right.
And I'm actually, as I said, doing the Basilisk thing is very much like the Wildstorm, how we used to do things there. Just kind of go along, Just a cool thing pops in your head, figure out how you can incorporate it, But I got a story for that. That does tie into the Parsec. It's all one universe, so they're all.
Yeah, I'm really waiting for Basilisk. I mean, I'm excited about Parsec. Don't get me wrong, but like there was something about your art, the way you were approaching that Basilisk story, the way it was drawn, the way it was inked. I love the blackout of the suit where there's not a lot of anatomy detail, but it's just there's something about that aesthetically just pleasing to the eye. Especially in black and white. It's going to be really interesting to see it in color, but just in the black and white, it's just very pleasing to see that page, those pages, how you laid them out, the sequential storytelling, all that stuff was just, it struck at my heart as far as being like the Wildstorm kid that I was, so that's awesome.
That's the vibe I'm kind of going for, not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything. I just kind of want to make some cool stuff that's fun to do. And hopefully we'll be able to do some more Wildstorm stuff in the future, but you never know with that. So
that actually, I've got a question that go off of what you just said, but real quick, Angel Heartless, reiterating what I was saying. Haven't been excited for a comic book as much as Basilisk in over 15 years, and I fucking agree with that. Absolutely.
Sign me up.
Well, I'm actually surprised at how far I'm actually along on that. So.
Oh yeah. So the Wildstorm stuff.
Next.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. It's I do want to. I want to get this stuff out there. I want to see how this kind of stuff goes. Am I going to be able to just kind of can I just focus on this stuff, which would be awesome.
And
not that I wouldn't mind doing some more Marvel stuff like that.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, create our own stuff, though. I mean, just a different joy with that, and I definitely think you're going to do pretty damn good on it. But real quick is I've engaged with you in conversation about this on Twitter, a bunch of other people. If DC ever decided to come to you and say, Brett, we're going to let you do some Wildstorm properties. We're going to let you choose the characters, the book, and creative teams that you want to put together. Obviously, we didn't know you'd resurrect Backlash. But is there any other characters that you would really want to see get their just dues that have just been thrown on the shelf for the last 15 years or so?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I only drew like one issue of Wildcat.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
even though I've drawn I did Zealot and Wildcore and I did Grifter and the Kindred and stuff, I never actually drew like much Wildcat stuff. So I'd love to do some Wildcats, maybe some Wetworks. The Stormwatch, depending on Team 7. I mean, maybe like a Team 7 book with like the modern Team 7 characters, as opposed to they're the military ones. So take the ones who take the main. I guess they're also alive, weren't they?
Yeah.
The Fairchild Dad was still alive. Chang was still alive. Lynch, Deathblow, Grifter, Backlash, Dane. So yeah, I guess you could take a team with the original cast on there. And they had some bad guy from their past has shown up, and they got to reunite to fight him. They thought they had killed him, and he's like taking over the country or whatever the hell it is. Maybe he's taking over the Cybernary world, whatever the hell that place was.
Yeah. That'd be so awesome. Because there's so many great characters, so many really great.
Well, that's so cool. To me, there's like a ton of untapped potential that you could do with a lot of that stuff. So I'd love to play in there, and I would love to be able to like reboot it with a few other artists and writers and stuff. That'd be really fun.
Would you, if we're dealing with a what if fantasy here, would you try to keep a similar continuity with a reboot, or just brand new kind of retelling of it?
It depends. I mean, it might be fun to kind of just pick up where we left off, but at the same time, it might be cool to kind of go back to the beginning with a more cohesive idea.
Right. I see that.
Like a lot of that stuff is kind of flying by the seat of our pants.
Right.
They had the original story arc, and then that's how all the stuff works out anyway. That's how all the comics are done. But like get better, since you know where it went, you can basically go back, figure out the best parts to keep. But then at the same time, but then sometimes those things don't work. It's kind of hard to tell.
I would say that
a clean reboot might work best, but it's hope that the sales were enough to keep it going for a while, so that you could kind of tell the story that you wanted to tell initially.
Yeah.
I hope it didn't like tank or something like that, so you only get like 6 issues.
Yeah, that. I would say that even if there was like a real hard reboot of everything, as long as people were involved in a project like that understood the characters and respected the characters, it would be a good story that would appeal to the original audience as well as hopefully bring in a new audience, you know?
Yeah, well, I think part of the problem, like some of the reboots that they've done before, is it wasn't like to me when I think of Wildstorm, it's like from like 92 to like 96 or 97.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The golden age. So that's kind of how I picture everything. So like the later stuff, I don't picture as much. It doesn't pop in my head. So, and I think that because of the way people are, getting older now, with the collectors are coming in, but they're 5-10 years behind me in age. But that's the time. That's kind of like the frame that the hardcore Wildstorm fans that are still like really hardcore fans. There's like two fans. There's like the old school Wildstorm and then the Authority fans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And like bridging the gap, or so far they kind of like the last series kind of focused more on like the Authority stuff, which Warren also is a great writer. So, but I don't know if it would have the same appeal because the art is more modern.
Yeah.
To the old school Wildstorm fans who seem to actually really like the old school Wildstorm. So
that's what I didn't like about it, was the art.
Switching that up might actually if they had pulled, like say Ryan Benjamin did.
Right.
Oh yeah.
A little more akin to the old Wildstorm guys to draw, that might actually be more appealing to the old Wildstorm fans. It might have been more appealing if they'd done that.
Yeah, I mean, when I picked up the book, I was really excited about it, and no offense to anybody, but I put the book right back down after about 2 pages of flipping through it, because that was all I needed. That I knew that it wasn't pleasing to my eye, and I was not going to enjoy the book no matter what. That's just.
It looked like an HBB ad or like an Abercrombie ad, or whatever.
That's the way art is, Like I don't like every single artist. That's why I read my specific comic books that I read, because I like that art style.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like there was a couple times there was like a couple issues every now and then, like one artist would come in and do a fill-in, and I just hated that artist.
Yeah.
I just hated that artist, and I couldn't read the issue because it was just like so displeasing to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were like a terrible artist, or it was like so different from what I was like so used to reading. So I get it.
Yeah, that's what's beautiful about art. It's much like music, It's all whatever is appealing to the person. And yeah, a really awesome artist could not be appealing to me, and nobody could understand why I don't like that guy. But I just don't, because it's just something about the style that I don't like. Not that it's bad, but just it doesn't get me off. If that makes sense.
I actually got it. I'm an artist. That's kind of like my thing.
Sean, you got it?
Yeah.
I knew you had a couple more.
Sure. I think I have one more, but Thundercats: Dogs of War, awesome series. Is there like another 80s based series or franchise that you would like to tackle, like Silverhawks or what have you, or was that just like that was a gig?
I'd like to do Silverhawks. I would like to actually go back and do like the Thundercats that I wanted to do.
Right.
But never got a chance to. Let's see, Transformers will be might be fun. My wife is telling
you can't draw robots. The Queen says it all.
Yeah. And I know there's more stuff, but everything we got Dino Saucers.
There was Dino Saucers and Dino Riders.
Remember Dino Riders?
Yeah, both of those were terrible. I wouldn't want to touch them. The dinosaurs were horrible.
Yeah. But as a kid, they were awesome. Like when I was really little, they were awesome. But looking back at some of the art,
I was already I got spoiled by that. There's this special, like Phil Tippett did this thing with stop motion dinosaurs. They're actually, that's why they used them for Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
In the 80s, I forget what it's called. You can actually see it it's on YouTube. But there's like Christopher Reeve had a special where he talked about it with I'll do new dinosaur finds and stuff like that. And so those the most accurate dinosaurs on screen at that point. So I judged everything by those.
Right.
So when I saw the other ones look like they were from the '60s, I was like, nope, those are wrong.
Yeah.
Trash.
Gotcha Men would be cool to do.
Oh yeah, I definitely see on that.
Earlier, there's a ton of anime and manga that I'd love to do, but
I would love to see you on Guyver.
I was just gonna say, man, you stole my
Guyver,
question. I was gonna say that.
Guyver would be cool. Bao, Dragon Ball. I'd love to do Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen you actually do a lot of the Dragon Ball characters. Just drawing.
I mean, I'm a giant fan. So.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I got all the damn DVDs. I collect the figures. Yeah, I'm a nerd for that.
Yeah, I think I would definitely buy a book if you did that. You drew the Guyver not too long ago, and I was so excited because that was one of my favorite characters growing up.
Yeah.
And I love, obviously, I loved how you did it, but I was just like, man, oh, Ninja Scroll, and yeah, Angel Heartless just put out
Ninja Scroll. Yeah.
I loved that movie growing up. I had that movie. Oh, there you go. Sean's holding up a Guyver right there.
Bio Booster Armor, the DVD set.
Ninja Scroll was another awesome movie that I had when I was a kid, but the Guyver, just something about that, man. It'd be awesome to see you do. Any kind.
I'm watching that anime a lot. I had like some vinyl figures of those two. Badass thing. Some of Taboo's costumes based off those guys. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first version that Jim drew was like way too complicated, and I drew that in Backlash 1, and I was like, oh my god, this takes forever. So in Backlash 2, I just kind of redesigned it a bit.
Make it a little bit more simple for the monthly.
Yeah, it's still really complicated. So.
Yeah.
I got some ideas for like a new version of it. I did that piece for the auction thing. I kind of redesigned Backlash's costume, but I didn't redesign hers. So I got some ideas for her if I ever draw her again.
Well, you know, what's the funny thing about, you know, like designs versus practicality when it comes to drawing is there are some awesome designs in the 90s, but some of that stuff had to be such a pain in the ass to draw on a regular basis. Some of the characters.
It was so many of that stuff was like drawn on the board. So there's like not like character sheets. You know, like nice character sheets. Oh, it's a front view and a back view and a side view.
Right.
And none of that.
Yeah.
It's just like, here you go. Here's the cover that I drew the character on. Now you have to try to match this. Like, this strap go all the way around. How does that attach in the back? I mean, I do that because it's like, you know, when I do my designs, I just draw like the front view of it. But then I'm usually the only one drawing the book for a while. So.
Right. So
it's not that big a deal.
You can work it out as you go, kind of thing.
There was like one or two things on like one of the Flash costumes that I did. I think it was for the DC New. The fun Flash costume that I designed, like this, getting the things on the legs to kind of work right on the back. Like how did I do that? I just turned in the front view and like, yeah, that's awesome. I was like, cool. And I was like, oh, now I have to draw from the back, and that doesn't quite work. How am I going to do that?
Stephen Strange from the comment said, I'd love to see Brett draw Fists of the North.
This is a North Star. Yeah, I remember watching that. He just has like a shirt and some jeans though, right? And a hat. Right? I thought
that one
got, right?
That one I'm not sure on. I'm not familiar with that one.
I think that's the one where it kind of just walks around and he like punches people. It's kind of like it's what I thought One Punch Man.
I was about to say One Punch Man.
Yeah, no, but that's it. One Punch Man doesn't do that though. He kind of walks around and punches with one punch, but this guy had he's like a multiple punch thing. So 30 some odd years. I saw that in college. That was a long time because we used to watch anime. That's where I met Ryan Benjamin, Sean Ruffner. We used to watch anime all the time.
Nice.
Oh, very cool.
So Akira.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Yeah. We're big fans of that stuff.
Let's see. I think. Let me double check. Yeah. How you doing, Brett? Did you sleep at all?
No, not yet. I'm just getting kind of hungry.
Yeah. We won't keep you too much longer. I answered all, or I got my questions all in. Sean, you got anything else? I want to make sure we. And
Nah, this is like if there was a Christmas, if Santa Claus is real, like this is what it is.
yeah.
You know, like I'm happy. This is great. Thank you.
Yep.
I think you cured my diabetes.
Yeah, Santa Claus. Yeah, it's like this was Santa Claus is real. I mean, what do you mean? Santa Claus is real. What are you talking about, dude?
Nowadays. What can I tell you?
Yeah, bro, this has been awesome. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, no problem.
Very honored.
Thank you for taking the time. Yeah, it's an honor, a blessing, whatever you want to call it. It was phenomenal. And thank you. And I stress to everybody to be a part of Brett's Patreon, because the more we can get people on to help fund him do what he wants to do and what we want him to do. So everybody that's watching, don't be cheap. You know, there's a bunch of great levels, and just donate, and you'll have a lot of fun. It's like learning too.
Yeah, I'm trying to put the bachelor stuff on there first. So as I get that stuff done, it'll go up on the Patreon, so you guys will be able to read it first before anybody else.
That's and
you want to pay for it, because as long as you're on the Patreon, it'll just be free for everybody on the Patreon.
Yeah, and that's a great perk right there. So I mean, whether you got the dollar tier, or you're going all the way up to one of the big tiers, you get to see that, which is a really good draw for that site. Plus, you get to see all Brett's commissions he does and like all that kind of stuff that you get to see firsthand. Nice high quality files. So highly recommend.
They get 4 files every month of like high res files, so that you can practice coloring or inking all over those if you want.
Yeah, dude,
that's what they're there for.
You've been killing it with that stuff too. Some of that Wolverine, I love the Weapon X Wolverine. A couple of the ones you did, but I love the first one that you posted, was just killer.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time I've drawn a Weapon X.
Well, you nailed it. That's one of my favorites. I still look at that just for reference and drawing. That's all. Just kind of because I study line.
Yeah, it's great schooling. It's great. It's great to learn. From everything that you're posting.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll definitely. Hopefully, we'll get to have you on again at some point. That'd be awesome to have you back here if you have.
Yeah,
the time.
They get closer to the Parsec thing.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome.
Get ready for that.
All right, don't threaten us. So it's a good time.
What was that?
No, I said don't threaten us with a good time. We're all about it.
Alrighty.
All right, guys. Well, Brett, I'm gonna have you stick around for just a little bit after we end the stream, just so we can wrap some things up real quick. But I just want to say a big thanks to everybody that tuned in tonight, and they're watching on Facebook, that's watching on YouTube.
Thanks for the questions.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. You guys really showed up for the show. We really appreciate it. Really showed up for Brett. Before we get out of here, please subscribe and like to our channels. Sean Aaron's YouTube, my YouTube. That really helps our show get out there, so we can hopefully bring on more big guests like Brett. And that's really what we're trying to do here. Is we talk about art, talk about comics, and just have a really good time. Laid back show. Let's have some fun. That's what we're about here. Sean, you want to say anything real quick?
Yeah. Tomorrow we're going to have Alex Rivera, Playful Gorilla, at 5:00 Eastern time, and follow me, Sean Aaron, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and on Primetime Polton on YouTube on Fridays.
Brett, where can we find you primarily, and where can we where can we find your work?
Well, besides the Patreon, the easiest place is Twitter. It's Demon Puppy. Because I hate using my real name. I don't know why.
I know that threw me off the first time I went to Twitter too. I was like well, okay, I get it. I
always thought it was kind of presumptuous and kind of like a lot of ego involved. But there's an old website that we used to have, so I just use that. And then that's probably what the comic book will be called too, like Demon Puppies. So like Top Cow, like Demon Puppy.
Oh, nice. I like it. I like it. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Yeah, you can find me on all the social media sites. Type in Joe Msante, you're gonna find me. So thank you everybody for checking us out. Everyone have a great night. Stay safe out there, and Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for Brett Booth for joining us. It's truly, truly an honor and a pleasure to have you on our show. And hopefully we do it again soon.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys. Ending the broadcast now. So we will talk to you all later.